and welcome to Dip In and Out with Lucy's bonus feature. On the 14th of October, I attended the PEGS conference, Breaking the Silence. It was an incredible day, filled with incredible speakers, hosted by the wonderful Michelle John. And what a day. I spoke to some amazing people who are now very kindly going to become guests on Dip In and Out with Lucy over the coming weeks and months. So plenty more content to come. And hopefully this little taster of the day will give you a flavour as to just how incredible it was. So enjoy. Hi, and welcome to Dip In and Out with Lucy, the podcast that opens up the discussion around domestic abuse. I'm here this morning with Grace, who has newly joined PEGS. And Grace is here to tell us a bit more about PEGS.
Yeah, so I'm Grace, so I'm new to PEGS, so I'm one of the practitioners within our team. So PEGS is all about providing that support and, making our parents aware that we do hear them, we see them, we believe them, and to empower them. It's also about, raising that awareness that CPA does happen.
Yes.
And sort of like providing that education to, other professionals that may be involved with families, that CPA is there and it does exist and it does happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a brilliant service, and obviously it's a service that's grown quite a lot over the last few years.
Yes.
Thanks to Michelle.
It's massive. The amount of referrals that we're getting in the moment have rocketed sky high.
Yeah, that's amazing and wonderful. And you're enjoying your time at PEGS, yeah?
I really am enjoying working with different professionals and also with the parents, and listening to their story and their journey and making them feel heard and supported.
Absolutely, and that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you're enjoying the conference today?
I am, it's brilliant. It's so good that there's so many different people from professional services that have joined, to get involved and support raising that awareness.
I love that. Well, thank you very much for having a chat with us this morning, Grace. Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Oh, thank you. Hi, I'm here this morning with Simon Frank from Culper. Simon will be coming on and doing a full episode, but just for now, he's going to tell us a bit more about what he's been discussing at PEGS this morning. So, hello, Simon.
Yes, good morning. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you to PEGS. So, Simon Frank, founder and CEO of Culper. Culper is a free app that allows you to upload and securely store evidence, and you can then share that evidence with whoever you need to. That might be a friend, relative, support worker, civil lawyer, or indeed the police. The platform ensures that evidence is legally admissible and can be used to support a legal process.
Amazing, and it is going to be an absolute game changer, isn't it, when it comes to evidence, because that's one of the biggest things, is being able to have that evidence in place, because so many people don't have that. And as you say, it's to help those who are innocent, and it's to help those in terms of proving that guilt as well, isn't it?
No, absolutely. Whether you're proving innocence, proving guilt, or you simply need a storage of evidence, please download the free Culper app.
Perfect. Thank you, Simon.
Thank you
for this morning.
It's a pleasure to see you.
Thank you. One of the many wonderful speakers on the day was the amazing Sarah from PEPSA. Sarah is a good friend, and she's an amazing advocate for those who have experienced or have been impacted by post-separation abuse. She's done some wonderful work with PEGS, a collaboration regarding research around the correlation potentially between child-to-parent abuse and post-separation abuse. Hi, I'm here with Anna, and Anna is at the PEGS conference today, and she's going to tell us a little bit more about what she's doing and why she's here today. So hello, Anna.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Lovely to meet you.
Yeah, I'm here from Peer Training today. We are a national training provider, but based head office quite locally. But we are expanding our apprenticeship offer for protective services, and one of the main apprenticeships that we've got going is the domestic and sexual abuse support worker, which is a level 4, and also safeguarding officer level 3. So these are really new apprenticeships that are brand new to the market, really. But it's for frontline workers that are looking to boost their skill set, improve their knowledge. It's all delivered around the day job, and it's fully funded, which is one of the main reasons we wanted to come along today. We all know how tight things are at the minute, and funds for training is very limited. So it's all government funded, and that's something we can talk everybody through.
Yeah.
But they've been really going well. We're connecting with lots of people in the sector. So it's just to get the word out, really.
And that's the thing is, a few years ago, you wouldn't have heard of anything like around domestic abuse training. We've just been listening to Sarah Taylor talking about post-separation abuse, and it's that there's so many areas where in all these systems that need that training, that need to understand it isn't just a stigmatised issue that only affects certain people, it impacts everybody. And whether that's work colleagues, whether that's family, whether that's friends, everybody knows somebody who's experienced abuse.
They do, and we're finding a lot of people that are contacting us have either gone through it, have lived experience, and now want to give back and want to get into the sector, but it's how do you get into it? So it's about, you know, an apprenticeship can be the route in. There's a lot of organisations that are recruiting apprentices into these roles now.
It's amazing.
And they'll get a nationally recognised qualification out of it.
And funding, and we all know funding's not easy.
The key one.
That's amazing. Well, it just proves that there's a need for it. The fact that you've got the funding, there's an absolute need for it, and we need to keep things like this going. So we are going to do a full episode at some point, but just to give people a bit of a taster as to what it's all about. So thank you.
Lovely.
Thank
no
you
problem.
so much.
Thank you.
Dame Nicole Jacobs, who is the Domestic Abuse Commissioner, appointed in 2019 for the Commissioner for England and Wales. Unfortunately wasn't able to attend in person, but she joined us online. Hi, I am here with the wonderful Laura and Becky from Access Counselling. Yes, that's get it right, Lucy. And they are at the PEGS conference today, and they're here to tell us a little bit more about what they do and why they do it. So good afternoon to you both.
Good afternoon. We're from Access. We are a local charity covering Shropshire, Telford and Wrekin who support survivors of sexual abuse. So we provide a whole host of different support options for anybody aged 5 and above who's experienced any form of sexual abuse. We have got a counselling service, so we've got some therapeutic options. We have an independent sexual violence advisor service, which is support in terms of practical support, emotional support through the criminal justice system. And we have got a complex care pathfinder, which is for adult survivors of sexual abuse who have got complex mental health needs. And we support them through group work, peer support group and psychoeducation, through counselling. We have an NHS clinical psychologist who works with us as well. And the other thing that we do at Access is we provide specialist training for professionals for sexual abuse.
And I was going to say, is there anything you don't do? Because clearly you do quite a lot.
There's a lot more we'd like to do.
I was just going to say, and the training part of it as well. I mean, everything is obviously so important, but it's obviously very similar with in terms of domestic abuse, if you like, because obviously sexual abuse is part of that whole remit of abuse. But it's the fact that so often training doesn't happen in organisations. They don't understand the nuances of it. It's that idea that abuse is just about the physical, and so being able to do what you're doing and training people and training organisations, say actually this is what it looks like, and also the fact that it's a topic that most people would shy away from because there is, unfortunately, I know I'm from Manchester, and our local We Are Survivors, it's that trying to get people to understand that this is a conversation. It's not taboo. It happens every day.
In our experience of delivering training, because we train professionals who inevitably have contacts and work with survivors of sexual abuse every day. So it's incredibly important that they have that knowledge and skill set to be able to have those conversations, respond appropriately and things. And our experience is that it's not really in the remit of people's minds. Like you say, it's not something that people want to speak about or think about. So it's really important that those conversations are had.
Massively important. And I think we're now thankfully getting to a point in society where it's becoming more, it sounds awful to say, but acceptable to talk about things that would appear to be the darker conversations. But if we don't have those conversations, so many people are wandering around totally unvalidated and invalidated by their experience, not knowing where to turn, not knowing that there's support out there. And I think that's one of the biggest things I try and do with the podcast is say, it doesn't matter where you are in the country, there is support. Wherever you go, you will find it. And that's what's the most important thing. And it is, for a lot of people, sometimes it's just that understanding that the support's there and that people listen and being listened to.
They're not alone, and that they will be believed, because that is such a barrier to people getting support. They feel like they're not going to be believed, and yet there are organisations like us right across the country who are there to support them.
And that is so important. Well, we're going to do a full-on episode, obviously, at some point, which will be amazing. But for now, thank you both very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. As the saying goes, no good deed goes unpunished. And on the day, unfortunately, technology decided that it wasn't going to record the audio for a quick chat I had with Catherine Howarth. Catherine is an amazing woman, family law solicitor. She's a campaigner for change in the family courts. She runs a pro bono clinic. She does training for organisations around domestic abuse, post-separation abuse. She is one incredible individual. And I'm very glad to say that she will be joining me in an episode of Dip In and Out with Lucy in the coming weeks. Hi, I'm here at the PEGS conference with the fabulous Carrie Bauer. Carrie is somebody particularly close to my heart anyway, but she's here representing Hourglass today, and if anybody doesn't know what Hourglass is all about, she is the person to speak to. So good afternoon, Carrie.
Good afternoon, Lucy Way. Nice to see you.
It's lovely to see you. So tell us a bit more about Hourglass.
So Hourglass are the only UK-wide charity dedicated to ending the abuse of older people. And when I say older people, I mean adults that are 60 and over.
Yeah, this is another area. Lots of little snippets that we're doing today are areas that people wouldn't consider as abuse, and in particular, abuse of older people is something that, and again, it is that terminology, isn't it? You know, we hear a lot around elder abuse, and that kind of makes a lot of people cringe, because it's actually, is the abuse of older people rather than that elder abuse?
The term elder abuse is something that is often used, but actually we really need to name the abuse of older people, particularly when it's perpetrated by an intimate partner, a former partner, or an adult family member, because that would constitute domestic abuse. And today at the PEGS conference, we're specifically talking about child-to-parent abuse. Now, our children are our children, whatever age they are.
Yes.
So that does include adult children, and at Hourglass, we see more adult children abusing their parents than any other group.
And that's because that's fascinating. I mean, obviously, it's incredible work that Hourglass are doing and that you're doing. And I think a lot of the time, every single person I've spoken to today, we need to get past that stigma that abuse looks a certain way. We need to get past, and we're still, all these years down the line, we might have the Domestic Abuse Act that's been updated. We might have children now seen as victims rather than as witnesses. But it's getting past the idea that only a certain demographic, only a certain particular number of people or at a certain age can experience abuse. And I think very much over the years, those who are older have been overlooked massively because it's considered maybe a generational thing. Well, it was always like that, or it may be that it's historical, it's only years down the line, maybe their partner's passed away or the children have left home, but that abuse continues. It's very complicated, isn't it, I think?
Yeah, and older people are complex like
Yes.
all of us.
Yes.
You know, they're not defined solely by their age. So every single one of us, if we're fortunate, we get to age. That means that we all come to later life with different unique identities. So yeah, the pool of potential people that can harm us increases.
Yeah.
But we also need to remember that victims are ageing too, but that means perpetrators age as well. And we spend a lot of time focusing on, the age group of victim survivors.
Yeah.
But actually, we need to look at the whole and the complexities around that.
Yeah, definitely, and that's exactly just hit the nail on the head. It is the complexities around it, and I think because it is so many different areas you're looking at, as you say, the perpetrator ages, and so when we look at children and look at that learned behaviour and the environment that potentially that they've grown up in, the environment at school where maybe they haven't had the support or they haven't had those external agencies working with them to support them, how do we then stop that kind of continuation? And it is, I always go back to that, it's like, instead of pulling them from I think it's Desmond Tutu, instead of pulling them out from the stream down here, we need to be going back further. And I think if we do that and we look at that child to parent abuse aspect, that in turn will help those older perpetrators and those older victims and survivors.
Yeah, very much. And I know PEGS don't use the term perpetrator when they talk about children who choose harmful behaviours. Yeah. But as people age and become adults, we do need to start naming who they are and what they're behaving, what their behaviour is. It's really, really important that they take accountability. But like you say, if we don't focus on prevention, we are going to end up with a large older population who may have been subjected to domestic abuse from an intimate partner and a former partner, but their chances are that they will have multiple people causing them harm, and that could be children who are mirroring parental figures' behaviour, but equally those children that haven't been interrupted and challenged or supported, because we know that many of those children have their own needs, and potentially grandchildren as well. So the ripple effect is huge.
It's massive.
Absolutely.
Yeah. One of the things around, kind of like you say, about the grandchildren aspect or the children aspect is, as well, what we've heard a lot today is about all those services who need to have that joined up, and we've known it for many, many years, that approach where they're all coming together, because otherwise victims and survivors are constantly repeating themselves to several different services over, and that's re-traumatisation, isn't it?
Very much so, very much so.
And what would you, sorry, carry on.
No, well, I was just going to say, many older people will be in touch with lots of different services, particularly health services, maybe social care services, who maybe aren't as skilled and knowledgeable. You know, I've come from a social care background. I didn't receive the training that I really, really needed. And so it's really important that whatever that touch point is with that older person, they give the right response, they validate, they listen, and they hold space.
I was just going to say, what would you say were your takeaways from today? Because I think that kind of sums it up almost, but would you say there's anything else from today that you think, actually, that's something that maybe I hadn't thought about? Because I know I've sat there today going, oh, I love that, or I love that, and I love little bits that have been said and writing them down.
I was in a workshop earlier with Doris Choice, who we work quite closely with, and their focus is later life as well. And something that they said that I have thought about but probably not heard anybody else talk about was that actually sometimes there will be, particularly where a parent is being harmed or abused by a child, an adult child, there might be a sibling who might have been affected by that abuse, but equally might be perceived as being a protective factor that's actually trying to support their parent. But actually there may well be another agenda, and often we find finances is a huge agenda. We know that many people, as they age, family members start to feel entitled to some level of inheritance. Families talk about this quite openly. And actually that entitlement to inheritance, if there's a financial threat there from one sibling, one child, that other sibling may then start to use quite harmful behaviours towards their parent. And it appears as a protective measure, but actually because they feel maybe aggrieved that some of their inheritance, what they think is rightfully theirs, has now been, stolen, possibly coerced out of that person. Actually, that's where some older people might start to face multiple perpetrators, multiple people causing them harm and trying to control their finances. And that was a bit of a takeaway, that I think there is an opportunity to do some more work there and more research.
Definitely, because when you've just said it, then we all have parents that have aged, lots of us have parents that have aged, and thinking of all those different layers to it, thinking of all the services that are involved with them in terms, like you say, of all the healthcare professionals as we age, the financial aspect of it. There's so many, most people think, well, as you get older, that's when everything, kind of gets simpler and life's easier and you just kind of enjoy your retirement. But actually, for a lot of people, it's horrific and it's absolutely devastating, and they feel very vulnerable because of unfortunately they're made to feel vulnerable because of their age where they shouldn't be. I know from my own experience, my dad says I feel 17 in my head, I stand up, and I feel 80. But for him mentally he still feels like a young man, so we shouldn't be writing people off and going, well, they're older, so that's why that's happened and that's why they've fallen into that trap, and all the horrible language that gets used and all that victim blaming.
And we live in a very, very ageist society, and so we need to start looking at older people as the experts of their own situation. Often they will know exactly what support they want. They might not be able to articulate it, they might use different language because of generational norms, but actually holding space for somebody to work that out for themselves with professional support if needed is essential. But often we want to make excuses or explain away what's happening in really simplistic terms. And actually it's not simplistic, it's really complicated, and life gets more complicated often as we're older. Adding abuse into that,
exactly,
it's huge, isn't it?
And I think what you're doing is absolutely incredible, and you're marvellous.
Well, and I think the same with you. Thank you very much, Lucy.
Thank you so much.
Your wonderful husband Martin.